UFC 324 just wrapped up, and this is my betting recap for all of the bets I posted inside my premium group. Now, this wasn't the best card. I finished with losing negative 4.41 units, but to be honest, the way the card played out, I think I got pretty unlucky on the bets, and I'm not mad about this small loss at all. I know that we have another 40 weeks of UFC, another 40 events, so I'm going to be cashing a lot in the future. And for reference, last year we profited over 40 units, so I'm not concerned despite the loss to start the year. Now, I will get into all of the bets and where I went wrong, where I went right, and the things that I'm going to improve on going forward this year. So my biggest bet of the night was these two bets. It was Natalia Silva, 2 units on her to win by decision and 2 units on her to win by the point spread. Now look, I know a lot of people thought that this fight was a robbery. I did not think this was a robbery at all. Yes, you could say I was biased. I thought clear as day, Rose round 2, Natalia Silva round 3, and round 1 simply pretty much nothing happened. And I think either way you could have given it to either fighter. Scoring it live, I thought Silva did win round 1, but if Rose won that fight, I couldn't say it was a robbery. I just thought it was a very close fight, a very lackluster fight, and that bet did end up hitting, so I got a bit of luck on that, and the spread did not end up hitting. But ultimately, I think my analysis before this fight wasn't very wrong. Natalia Silva in round 3, all she did was pick up the volume and she started winning very easily. I have no idea why she wasn't throwing high output from early on. I think if she did that, she would have won and covered the spread and won by decision. I think this bet would have hit if she fought with the right game plan. You look at that Grasso fight, she had way more output. So I just think she was very hesitant early. I do not know why, and that is why the spread didn't end up covering, but I did end up having a bit of luck on the decision. Now, Song Yudong versus Sean O'Malley. I had 2 units on this fight to go this distance, plus significant strikes, and I also had 1 unit on Sean O'Malley to win by decision. And all of these bets ended up hitting, so that was pretty good. The fight to go the distance, that was a pretty obvious one to me, and I thought the odds were playable and that had good value. Both guys do have a lot of power, but they are both very durable, so that ended up going the distance. As for the decision, I thought it was another very close fight. I did think Sean O'Malley edged it out. I see some people saying robbery. I wouldn't be mad if they gave it to Song, but I do think Sean done enough to win, so I did end up hitting that decision bet. Now, in the main event, I had the fight to go under 2.5 rounds, and ultimately it went the distance, which was a surprise to me and a surprise to many. But I'm not mad about this at all. Going into the fight, I thought Gaethje's most likely path to victory was an early KO, and for Paddy, an early submission. Gaethje damn near got him out of it in the first couple of minutes of that fight. And just the way the fight went, both of those guys' chins held up, which was crazy. But to be honest, I think this was a good bet. I think it was the right bet, but it's MMA. That is what happens, and this bet did not end up hitting. Then I also had this bet of 1.5 units on Gene Silva versus Arnold Allen to go the distance. I thought that both are very durable, it'll be a good striking battle, and that ended up hitting. So the fight to go the distance bets on the main cards were money. I also had a little side bet on Arnold Allen to win by decision. It was a close fight. I definitely think Silva won, but Arnold Allen, if he threw a bit more output, that fight could have gone his way as well. So I think that was the right bet to make for the odds, and I'm happy with the bets I had for that fight. Now I had 1.25 units on Umar Nurmagomedov to win by decision. Initially, I had 2 units on the bet of Umar to win by decision, but after seeing Figgy miss weight, I lowered it down to 1.25 units because I was really questioning what version of him is going to look like. He's not a big guy, so I thought maybe he could have got injured, and that's why he missed weight. So I did end up lowering that, but that was the obvious bet to me. I thought the odds were pretty decent, and I ended up cashing on that one. Now, this is one of the biggest losses on the card. I had Gaethje to win by KO in round 1 or 2. I had 1.9 units in the round 1 and 0.6 units in round 2 as kind of a hedge bet. And this is where it really got frustrating for me here, because I don't think that this was a bad bet. I think it was the right bet, and I do not think the odds were bad at all. I thought minus 110 on Gaethje to get it done in round 1. I thought that was fair, considering how likely I felt it was. And he dropped him very, very badly in the first 50 seconds, but decides not to follow up with ground and pound. Now look, I'm not saying he definitely gets a KO if he follows up with ground and pound, but he dropped him really badly, and I do not know why he just let him recover. Then in round 2, also, I think if he kept throwing punches when he had him rocked there in that moment, he could have potentially got a finish instead of throwing a high kick in the pocket, which just wasn't really high IQ. And then the rest of it, he just wasn't able to land consistently, and Pulev done a good job on the back foot. But I would have liked to see him follow up with some ground and pound. That was some pretty questionable fight IQ from Gaethje, though I did probably overvalue him and had too much stock on this one bet. You give me the same tape though, I do probably take him again in round 1, but I put a bit too much faith in him, so that was my bad. But yeah, Gaethje did not get the KO, a bit of a surprise there, and I think he's not what we thought he was going to be. Now this one was very unlucky. I had 0.3 units on Bukauskas in round 1 by KO, or 0.3 units for this fight to go the distance, because that is how I saw the fight going. I thought, all right, Krylov's been knocked out twice in round 1. He's either going to get shinned here early by Bukauskas, or he's going to survive, and I actually think Krylov was a better fighter and had more decision equity. And Bukauskas, when he can't get the early finish, is also a very patient fighter. Now, this fight was 3 seconds from going the distance, so I think it was the right bet. I think it was a good bet, but that's MMA, and that's what happens. Now, Charles Johnson versus Alex Perez. I had this fight to go the distance. And Charles Johnson, before this fight, had never got finished. I did not think Alex Perez was going to be the one to do so. And I didn't think Johnson was going to finish Alex Perez, despite Perez being finished multiple times before. Though Perez landed a big shot on Johnson. Johnson does keep his hands down. But the fact that he never got finished, and he has been pretty good throughout his career, very durable. I did not think he was going to get finished here. You could argue a bit of an early stoppage. I'm not complaining. I think he probably would have got TKO'd anyway, but I would have liked to see it go a bit longer considering I had this bet. Maybe Johnson could have survived. But yeah, Perez got it done here, and my bet failed on that one. Then Josh Hokett to get it done in round 1 by KO. I cashed there. I was pretty happy with that bet. I thought it was an obvious outcome. I think that I thought Freeman could defend submission attempts, but if you just watched him, I just thought he was pretty bad. And if Hokett was going to win here, I thought it was going to be by an early KO. I also had a small bet on this fight to go the distance as well. That was a bit of a hedge bet. If Hokett couldn't find the early finish, I could have definitely seen a fight where both fighters were tired, both fighters were very sloppy, and a fight that could go the distance. Now this one, Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit, I had 1.5 units on the over 1.5 rounds and 0.5 units on the fight to go the distance. And this is probably the bet I'm probably the most disappointed that I made. I think I overestimated Adam Fugit's durability, especially considering the fact he just came off of a round 1 KO and is older and probably out of his prime, even though he wasn't very good in his prime. My logic here was Ty Miller, I was pretty confident he would win, but I thought that he's not the biggest power puncher like in his Dana White Contender Series fight. He doesn't load up too much on boxing shots, and I thought that it would take him at least a while to get the TKO in this fight, or he would win by a pretty clear decision. But he ended up getting it in round 1. Now, there was only 3 seconds at the end of round 1. I would have loved to see Fugit not get stopped there at the end, and maybe he could have potentially lasted, which I think was a bit unlucky that the ref stepped right in at the end. But it is what it is. I don't think that was a great bet from me. Now, as far as the bets overall on this card go, I think they were all pretty decent, and most of them were pretty good. And you give me the same tape, I probably make the same bets. A few fighters disappointed me on the performance. Gaethje, I thought if he followed up with his ground and pound, maybe he could have got a TKO. And if Natalia Silva started throwing more volume early, I also think she could have covered the spread as well. So those ones I was a bit disappointed in. But you could argue that some of the decisions on the bets I made, like the Sean O'Malley fight, like the Silva fight as well, went my way. So I guess the luck evens out. Overall, 4 units, it is a decent loss, but I'm not concerned about it at all. We got UFC 325 next week. I already got some bets in my premium group, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to bounce back in a big way and make some money this weekend. So if you want to join, click the links in the description or in the bio, and I'll see you inside, and let's make you some money. Let's go.